Capricorn, hello there, my beautiful friends. We're going to do your general tarot reading for mid July 2026. Thank you so much for joining me today. You know, I appreciate each and every single one of you. So let's get right down to business as always and start you off with an oracle card here, just so we can dip our toes in the energy and see what's happening for the lovely Capricorn collective. Hope you're all doing fabulous and fantastic, my friends. Let's get it going here. My guide, spirit team, talk to me. What do we got for these beautiful Cappies in mid-July? It is still Cancer season, lovely time of year. What energies, messages, insights can we take a little peek at? And yeah, we're just going to take a real quick look at this first card, then we'll get into the full reading itself. And at the very end, I'll pull you a bonus card from the Shadowland Tarot, just to see what might be in the shadows or what shadow work you can lean into, which is always interesting. But let's get it going here. Let's rock and see what we got for Capricorn in mid-July. What's the vibe? What's the energy? Let's get this card out nice and quick. Ask and you shall receive. The very first shuffle, it pops right on out. Cool. So this is the Helping Hands card. I always like this. We're starting off in a pretty fun way. This is like, it's like a layer of an onion because there's so many different messages that could pop out with this, but it's very soothing to me, which is really nice. So it doesn't matter what might be going on. This to me is very reassuring for a variety of reasons. Now, before we fully dive into that, if you're new here, I'll be speaking about the July subscriber surprise towards the end, so you might want to check that out. And also, if you could kindly illuminate that like button by tapping it right on its third eye, you know, I'd greatly appreciate it. But enough of the promo, back into the reading. Let's talk more in depth about it. So as you can see, we have this lovely lady. She's in a blanket. Looks like she's laying down, having a little nap, having a little snooze, right? Surrounded by all these hands, and they're forming like this ring of protective light around her. So first and foremost, I see this as a huge card of spiritual protection. Guides, ancestors, spirit team, angels, whatever we want to call it. Very reassuring. Now, if we put that message to the side, this could literally be rest, relaxation. So if you've been burning the candle at both ends, if there's certain things or situations that are like, oh, this is draining, oh, why do I have to deal with this? Maybe Spirit wants you to really tighten up your rest and relaxation, self-love, self-care. That's the name of the game with this. But if we put all that to the side, aside from watching your dreams too, like for some of you might be having some funky dreams with this card, but if we put that to the side, I call it the Helping Hands card for a reason. So whether it's from the spiritual side or physical life, there could be a lot of people saying, hey, Capricorn, can you give me a hand with this? Can you help me out with that? Or this could be Spirit saying like, hey, if you're going through a difficult one, there might be help available to you, even if you don't realize it. So I think this card is pretty nice and soothing on a variety of different levels. We're just going to let her keep taking her little nap right there. Looks like she's regenerating. Let's get into tarot. And yeah, I always say that first card, it doesn't make or break the reading. It's just a little footnote. So let's get you 3 tarot cards in the upright. Then we'll get into that intuitive juiciness. Shuffle it up one time here for the Cappies. What do we got? And while we get this deck shuffled up and ready to go, let's talk about last week's reading. So there was a lot of fiery energy. Now that could be very good, especially for forward momentum. But it could be a little unpredictable too, right? The reading was titled An Explosive Shift. So to me, it did feel somewhat like an energy doing a quick 180 or something intensifying really quickly, which again, for some of you, that might be a great thing, especially if things have been like a little stuck in the muck. We like that energy. But for others, if you've been feeling pretty stable, it's just something to keep a note of because it's like intensifying super quick. And that energy could bleed over for a couple weeks. But we're going to see what shows up this week. As you know, energy is very fluid, never set in stone. So only take this how it hits for you because we could be seeing your vibe or somebody else, right? Let's get it going here. 3 cards for the beautiful Cappies to start us off. What do we have in mid-July? Still in Cancer season. There we go. Cool. Knight of Swords, fast. Still a very intense energy around the collective here when we have the Knight of Swords leading us off. Now, I do love to start with an action card, and that's exactly what we got there with that Knight of Swords. Very quick, very rapid. And we'll get into all the fine detail about that. Okay, Seven of Swords, lots of sword energy. This is what we might have to keep an eye on, though, especially with the Seven of Swords right next to it. Looks like the energy in the front seems a little distracted, and this one's doing something different. Let's get one more. Okay, Eight of Cups. Yeah, well, the energy is just, it's like scattering for some reason, which again, I guess it depends on your situation, but the energy is like here, there, and everywhere, which is something we do need to keep an eye on. They're like all going in totally different directions, right? But let's go through. I'll give you some of the classical meanings and archetypes. Then we'll get into that juicy, intuitive stuff. But at first, at first glance, you know me, I always love to look at the elements. I feel like that paints a picture, lays a foundation. And we have an interesting internal facing mix here, right? We have a lot of air and a little bit of water. Both of these elements do focus inward, but in different ways. Now, when it comes to air, that is the fastest, most rapid out of all the elements, right? Air is always flowing, always moving, right? There's not a lot of material grounded weight to it. But when it comes to air, that's a very logical, pragmatic, strategic type of energy that we're picking up here. So it could represent, just looking at something with logic, looking at something about the facts, right? Because sometimes we go with the heart, sometimes we go with the mind, and the air is absolutely the mind. It could be huge for curiosity, wanting to know things. There's a huge energy of giving or receiving information with air, and that's why it's the suit of communication. The downside to air is that sometimes it can overthink. Sometimes it could be a little too cerebral up in its head. So that's something to watch out for. It could also be cold and detached, a little aggressive too. Then here on the back end, we have the water, which again, it's moving, it's internal facing, but it's totally different, right? We have the logic, the facts, then we have the intuition, the heart. And when it comes to water, I always say it's emotional in nature, right? So whether it's partnerships, a situation, a person, something that we're emotionally invested in, something that gets our emotions up. That's what we think of here. Water is great for creativity, imagination. So whether it's problem solving or just creative artistic expression, we love it. The only downside to the water is that it's just like the tides, right? It's up, it's down, it's ebbing, it's flowing. And it could sometimes be a little overwhelming. So it's something to watch out for. Let's go through and start building it out piece by piece. So position number one, we start with a bang, right? And as I mentioned, we have this knight going here. We got the Eight of Cups going there. We got this Seven of Swords doing whatever the heck it's doing. I feel like the energy is scattering, or it feels scattered for some reason. But the Knight of Swords on the front, I always say when it comes to all knights, they represent action and communication. And as I've already mentioned, the Knight of Swords is fast, rapid, quick. To me, it's like someone going towards something like a rocket, all right? Tunnel vision, full steam ahead. So that could be a good thing. If you're looking for quick results, if you're looking for something to improve quickly, this could be a really great thing. But the Knight of Swords, in its inverse, it could also be very aggressive. It could be very pushy and sometimes even confrontational. Like this card could sometimes be anger. So we want to keep an eye on this. And again, it could just be a talk, conversation, or message that we want to look at too. So I don't dislike it, but it's something we need to keep an eye on, that's for sure. And for some of you, maybe it's an air sign you're connected to, right? Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. So we're just going to put him down there. He's already trying to jump out of my hands. So let's get that Knight of Swords right there. Now, moving to the middle, I think this is the real part that's got my attention the most out of everything. We have the Eight of Cups. I mean, the Seven of Swords, pardon me. We have the Eight of Cups on the back end too, but the Seven of Swords is next. Now, we see this individual. They have the fez. Looks like they're making away with those swords, right? And I'm not going to jump into the long laundry list of things that we should watch out for with this one. We'll mention a few of them, but the positive or the optimistic viewpoint of the Seven of Swords, it's very hidden. So whether it's a secretive energy or just something that's not on our radar, if we're looking at it optimistically, it's like, all right, something that I don't see, something operating in the background, something that hasn't been brought to my attention yet. So that could be what it is. It could be a situation or whatever. Now, the downside to the Seven of Swords, it's not the most trustworthy type of energy. So whether it's a person, whether it's a situation, this could be a warning from spirit saying like, hey, Capricorn, keep your eyes on this. Even if you're not taking action on something yet, there is a situation, something, or even someone that you need to keep your eyes on, because I would say this card could be secretive, it could be sneaky, thieves, liars, all that stuff when this card is here. But we're not going to go worst case scenario right off the jump. Now, as we get the Seven of Swords tucked right back in here, on the back end, we get to the Eight of Cups. And the way it looks compared to these other ones, as I mentioned, this energy is going that way. This energy is just doing its own thing. This Eight of Cups is like going the other way. So I don't know why the energy seems to be scattering, right, to the four corners of the globe. But the Eight of Cups, it's in motion. Now, in its most classical sense, a lot of people say this card could represent walking away from something, and that's true. This is also one of my cards of distance and travel, going on a trip, a little vacation. This is a pretty good thing for that. But to me, instead of just saying that, oh, it's walking away from the Eight Cups, I always say that this is just action, right? It's someone making a move, going in a direction. Notice the person is walking towards the nighttime and the moon. Those are symbols of the unknown. So when we have like the Seven of Swords and the Eight of Cups, there is this air of mystery and unknown. So whether it's someone's actions or other things, we need to take a look. The downside of the Eight of Cups, sometimes it can represent giving up on something. Sometimes it's an energy of abandonment. So again, we just need to keep an eye on it. And I said when it first came out, it's like this energy is distracted over here, but then this energy does that. It's odd. But I want to dive deeper on all of it, Capricorn. Let's do it. Let's jump in and clarify. Okay, let's get a good shuffle here. What do we got for our Capricorn friends? And yes, this is where I go intuitive with the message, which means I just tell you how it feels to me. So feel free to do further research or rely on your base knowledge of tarot, because as you know, every single reading is about the reader's interpretation, and I'm just giving you mine. Let's go in on the Knight of Swords. Let's see what he has. Oh, and yes, if you're a reader yourself, please feel free to play along. That's why the box is here. If you're feeling any messages you want to give to Capricorn, you can drop it in the comments. I don't mind at all. Okay, why is that Knight of Swords in the mix? Why is that Knight of Swords here? Okay, the deck is being specific. There we go. Why does the energy feel distracted? All right, so for some of you, this energy could just be very busy, busy, busy. And from what I know about you beautiful Capricorns, like you do like to keep busy and like have something to focus on. So for some of you, it could be advice from Spirit saying like, hey, you might want to keep busy. But again, this is another energy with the Six of Swords that is in motion. It's going, it's traveling, it's doing this, it's doing that. So, like underneath the Knight of Swords, I don't want to say it's frantic, but it's just super, super busy or distracted. So, for some of you in this time, just watch out. Like, I'm not saying you're going to be easily distracted, but with all this other stuff going on at the back end of the reading, it's like my focus is over here, but I should also be paying attention to this. So again, there might be something on the radar coming up in this reading where it's like, oh no, don't let that one slip by you. Don't let that slip by. Now, the Six of Swords, in its most positive sense, if we put all the intuitive stuff to the side, this again is an action card, but it's also a card of improvement, right? Coming out of choppy waters into calm. So again, it's going, it's moving, it's rocking. And when I see the Knight of Swords, which could be a talker, um, you know how sometimes salesmen, they'll like hammer you with words. It's something like that too. So watch out for people that are like saying one thing and doing another, where it's like actions and words don't align. It's just really peculiar here. So watch out for distractions. So like similar to a magician when they do sleight of hand, where they're like, hey, Capricorn, look at this hand while the other hand is doing something different. That's kind of how this is feeling to me. We're just going to keep moving though. Maybe this is something improving rapidly. That could be part of it, right? Like the Knight of Swords, Six of Swords. Yeah, maybe something improves quickly. I hope that's it. But this energy is on the go. It's a very, very busy, busy energy. We're distracted. But we're going to keep going. We're going to see what's up with the Seven of Swords because we got to see what's going on back here. That's for sure. So, why is the Seven of Swords here for my cappies? Okay. Okay. This is all right. So we have strength in reverse underneath it. Now, the reason I'm grimacing as that card comes out, this is Leo energy. Okay. Strength is usually very angelic. It's like a soft handed, loving, caring type of energy. I normally love it. Even in reverse, it's a pretty good card. But it is also a card that I link to someone's character, right? Like who they are internally. Strength isn't about physical strength, it's about internal. So, like when I see something like the Seven of Swords, which is very hidden, doing this, doing that, and the strength card in reverse, either one, this is somebody that's acting on impulse, where it's like their actions are they're just they can't control themselves. They, impulse control issues and stuff like that. So just watch out for that. Watch out for urges, impulse control, things like that. But the Seven of Swords strength in reverse is absolutely an energy that you need to keep a close eye on. So whether this is a serious situation that you're dealing with, or it's like, hey, I know you have a lot on your plate, but don't forget this. Like that's part of it for some of you. But then if this is a person, it's just odd. So like there might be a very specific individual that spirit is saying like, hey, Capricorn, just keep your eye on this one. You don't got to blow everything up. You don't got to like turn it into a big thing, but you need to keep your eye on this one, right? Because for some reason, the Seven of Swords with strength in reverse, that is like an energy of someone lying, or telling a fib or deception, right? I hate to say that, but that's kind of how it feels. So best case scenario could just be like a bit of a secret. It could be a secret, but worst case scenario, it could be a deceptive individual. Let's keep moving. So that's not the nicest energy to show up here, but we're just going to keep pressing forward. It is what it is, right? And again, just remember, this is just an energetic weather report, right? I always say that with all readings, especially general readings. Doesn't mean that there's someone out there doing the worst. You don't have to be all anxious, nervous, but there is something where it's like, all right, don't get too much tunnel vision on one specific thing. Like keep your wits about you, or just keep your eye on this person or situation because it could be of importance or seriousness. All right, let's go in on the Eight of Cups. Okay, world. Yeah, and the energy just goes and does its own thing. So we have the world in the upright now. World can represent endings, the close of a cycle, close of a chapter. It's also very karmic, but it's just odd. It's like this energy seems to sneak away. It just like slips out the back door. It's all right. Like imagine, if you will, someone rings your doorbell or knocks on your door, and you have company over, and you go to answer the front door, and your company slips out the back. That's kind of how this feels to me. So just again, beware of that because this energy just seems to slip away, slip away. Now the world, it could just represent completions. Um, yeah, I'm just like not a huge fan of the actions because it's like, hey, when you're distracted doing this, I'm gonna go do that. Right? It's like an energy that just slips out the back door. I don't know why it's showing up like this so strong in the intuitive sense. Now, aside from completions, this card is karmic. It could also represent change, transformation, all that good stuff. But I think it's really important, like the warning that we have this week about like trying to not get too much tunnel vision on one specific thing because there could be other things going on around you that could get by you or could get past you, if that makes sense. So keep your guard up. That's how it feels to me. Like you don't have to be confrontational and interrogate every person in your life, but there's just an energy here where it's like just keep your guard up for some reason. Let's go through and do a quick recap, then we'll get into the shadow. That was very unique. I rarely ever get something like that for the Capricorns. But if you kindly look in the box position, number one, we have the Knight of Swords with the Six of Swords in the upright. Again, that energy felt very busy, 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 or distracted. So again, for some of you, you might just have a lot on your plate. This energy is go, go, go. And it seems like it's just in its own zone, tunnel vision for whatever reason. So, which again isn't a bad thing. For a small portion of you, this could be something that seems like it's improving rapidly. But then in the center, we have the Seven of Swords with Strength in reverse, where it's like, I don't know if I'm buying what this person is selling. So again, there might be a serious or an important situation to keep your eyes on, or a person that spirit's like, hey, watch that one, watch out with that one. If their words and actions aren't lining up, that's all you need to know. Moving to the back, we have the Eight of Cups with the world, and this energy just seems to boom. Like, I'm busy doing this. This energy just kind of goes off on its own for whatever reason. So just watch out for stuff like this. So really peculiar. Please take a screenshot if you want to look into it further. Let's see what's in the shadows. And yes, if you made it to this point in the reading, please feel free to check out channel memberships. I'll put a link for it in the comments below. It's a beautiful way to support the channel, and I have much love for all my channel members. All right, let's get this shadow card out here. And you know me, I always love to pull a shadow card just to see whether it's something within you, something you don't quite see. Shadow cards don't always have to be a challenge. They could be a good thing too. So let's get you one. What do we got here for Capricorn? Cute. Cool. All right. So we have the Six of Cups. Now, that is a card of partnerships, connections, soul ties, but it is also a card of the past. In its positive sense, it's very loving, caring, smooth, flowing type of energy, but it could also link to history, the past, cycles that we've been through. So for some Capricorns, you might just be a little more sentimental than you normally are. Maybe you're taking some trips down memory lane. But something to watch out for when this card shows up is history repeating itself in this time, especially with the Six of Cups, unless you're having some issues with personal connections when we see the Six of Cups. But those are the main things I'm picking up here, Capricorn. We're just going to put it down right there, my friends. That's what I have for you this week. Don't click away just yet, though. I'm going to give you the details, the July subscriber surprise. If you would like further insight on your situation, or you'd like to have a chat with me, you can book a personal session with me on my website, mastermetaphysics.com. The July calendar is up and spots go quick, so you might want to check that out. But for the July subscriber surprise, doing another winner's choice, I will choose three lucky winners to either choose a copy of the Gilded Tarot Royale, which is one of my favorite decks of all time. It's a must-have, or a handmade pendant from my website, mastermetaphysics.com. So if you'd like to get your name in for that, it's two simple things, as always, my friends. First, you must be subscribed. And second, let me know down in the comments, out of all the cards that showed up in today's reading, which one spoke to you the most, or jumped out to you the most, or resonated with you. You'll be entered to win, and at the end of the month, the winners will be announced in my posts tab. As always, my friends, much love, and I'll see you soon.